In this video, I'm going to answer the question, why does China want to expand? So, why does China want to expand? For thousands of years, China has acted as an expansionist power. Its dynastic rule over vast areas of Eastern Asia often influenced the development and politics of countries north and west of it. However, in modern times, China's interests have been more political than military. Its economy has grown five-fold since 2001, and its population has escaped extreme poverty. Economic growth is an increase in the value of goods and services that people produce. This is the main way that a country can make more money from its economy. The most common way to measure this is by looking at the total value of goods and services that are produced in an economy, called GDP. This is the value of all the goods and services that are sold by consumers, businesses, and the government. However, this measurement does not capture a lot of the things that are important in the economy. For example, GDP does not include care for children if it is carried out by their parents, but this is included in national account figures. Another issue with the way that we measure economic growth is that it can be difficult to know how evenly the income of different groups is split across the population. For example, if the average GDP per person increases by 2% but the population grows by 4%, the overall average income of the population will have decreased. In addition, the cost of production is not always reflected in the GDP. This means that a growing economy may have a negative impact on the environment. This is because more goods and services are being produced in a smaller amount of space than in previous years. Therefore, the environment is being degraded, resources are being used more rapidly than they should be, and pollution is becoming more prevalent. This is not ideal, and it is important that countries try to limit their growth in this way. China has seen its economy grow rapidly over the last few decades. This has led to the rise of a middle class in China, and many more people have become able to afford better food, clothing, health care, and a decent standard of living. The middle class is a crucial component of China's economic success. In addition to providing an essential source of growth and development, the middle class provides a solid base of support for all Chinese citizens. According to the Pew Research Center, middle-income households have a combined income that is between 2/3 and twice the median household income. The group is composed of households earning between $47,189 and $141,568 for a three-person household in 2021. Although many Americans are struggling to pay their bills, there is no doubt that the middle class is shrinking in size and being squeezed financially. In fact, fewer Americans earn enough to be considered middle class today than in 1970. There are several ways that experts define the middle class. Some are based on income, while others use a lifestyle or even a mindset. One of the most common definitions is to identify those with incomes between $28,000 and $109,000 for married couples, or $11,000 to $41,000 for single people. It is important to note that these incomes can include a variety of sources, including government benefits, such as Social Security, and private sector sources, such as dividends, interest, rent, and savings accounts. Another way to measure the middle class is to look at wealth. New York University professor Edward Wolff, for instance, defines the middle class as the middle three quintiles of the wealth distribution. The middle class can also be described as those with assets that make up at least half their income. These assets can be a combination of real estate, stocks, bonds, and business equity. Mortgage debt can also factor into the equation. While income is a useful metric to determine the size of the middle class, it can be difficult to accurately measure changes in that group over time. This is why economists prefer to use wealth as a determinant, and this is reflected in the way that the Federal Reserve Bank defines the middle class. This approach, however, can be complicated because it does not account for government benefits such as food stamps and other non-cash aid that can vary from year to year. In addition, it doesn't take into account the number of people living in a household. A country's ability to maintain a stable political system plays an important role in economic growth. It can provide the foundation for building a strong economy and enhancing social stability. which in turn helps to reduce poverty and promote human development. In addition, a stable political environment can contribute to reducing greenhouse gas emissions and other environmental problems that have the potential to harm future generations. This is why many governments around the world aim to maintain a stable political environment. However, some countries do not enjoy the same level of stability as others. This has led to the creation of a number of objective and perceptions indices that measure different aspects of political instability. The objective indices usually count the incidence of various phenomena, things like assassinations, demonstrations, and revolutions, while the perceptions indices use expert opinion or surveys to gauge the degree of political instability in a country. These indices can be useful for analyzing the political stability of a country, but they are not always accurate. Some of these indices are used by government agencies and private companies to determine whether a country is an attractive investment destination. These include ICRG indices from the Political Risk Services Group, BERI indices from the Economist Intelligence Unit, and Moody's indices. These indices are often based on a variety of variables such as government stability, socioeconomic conditions, investment profile, and internal conflict. Let's not forget variables like external conflict, corruption, military in politics, religious tensions, law and order, ethnic tensions, and democratic accountability. They are designed to be used by foreign investors who need to determine the political risks of investing in a particular country. In addition to these indices, there are many other sources of information on political stability in countries around the world. These include governmental reports and other publications from international organizations. Organizations such as the United Nations, the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, the European Commission, and many more. Despite these reports, many countries still remain unstable. A large proportion of the world's population lives in countries that are prone to political instability, such as Africa and Asia. China's regulatory framework is changing rapidly and is affecting industries as diverse as technology, finance, transport, and education. This has exacerbated the recent slowdown in Chinese economic growth and contributed to a deteriorating business climate. It is also a major contributing factor to the country's growing reliance on foreign investors and joint ventures. Regulations are designed to keep China's economy running smoothly and to prevent the risks of financial crisis. This means that many firms are now subject to a range of regulations from multiple government agencies. These new rules are being put into place to protect the general public from risky behavior by certain companies. For example, it is now illegal for firms to use their employees as frontmen for marketing and advertising purposes or to engage in bribery. In addition, it is now against the law for platforms to sell their users' data without their permission. This is another way that China seeks to protect its citizens from abuses by its companies. According to the Communist Party's ideology, China wants to build a society of common prosperity where people enjoy social stability and security. It also aims to reduce inequality, and this has been a driving force behind many of the regulations that are being implemented in the country. It is therefore essential that businesses understand China's new regulations on their own terms. They must be mindful that if they break the rules, they may face fines and even prosecution. There are a number of hypotheses that have been proposed to explain why the new technology regulations have been implemented. These include backlash from overseas investors, consolidation of power in the sector, and a need for the government to protect national security. China is pursuing these regulations to protect the general public. What is not clear is not whether China is genuinely motivated by a desire for economic stability or simply a need to maintain power in the sector. The Chinese government is clearly trying to control the tech industry, so it is important for companies to make sure they understand the new regulations that are being put into place. I hope you enjoyed this video answering the question, why does China want to expand? If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to this channel.